So Saleh Arouri is the Hamas official responsible for West Bank operations. So how significant is his death?
Well, it's significant in different perspectives. First, he was a very senior official within Hamas. He was responsible for the military wing of Hamas in the West Bank. He was second in command to Hamas Chief of Bureau Ismail Haniyeh. He spent a lot of time in Turkey, where from Turkey he was actually guiding a lot of terror attacks, particularly launched from the West Bank. So obviously he was a very significant figure within Hamas ranks.
Will this hinder the plans of Hamas militants going forward?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we are currently dealing with Hamas in Gaza. That's relatively speaking a different story. So in the end of the day, taking out Saleh Al-Arouri, which is for itself a very significant move, yet it's not going to significantly disrupt or, challenge or tackle Hamas capacities in Gaza Street.
Who do you think is responsible for this killing?
I don't know, but I think that as of now, Israel has not, and to the best of my evaluation, Israel will not claim responsibility for the attack.
And why would that be?
Well, I would figure one of the possible explanations for that is because that attack, the killing of Al-Arouri in the heart of Hezbollah's stronghold in Beirut, the southern quarter, it's called in Arabic, Dahya al-Janubiyya, is a major source of embarrassment to Hezbollah because Arouri was actually a formal guest, sort of speaking, with Hezbollah. Actually, reportedly, he was supposed to meet tomorrow Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. So for Hezbollah, this is a major embarrassment. Now, I would say that, for example, one of the explanations for the fact that Israel has not, and to the best of my evaluation, will not claim responsibility is to enable Hezbollah some space for maneuvering, because Hezbollah constantly committed to retaliate any kind of an attack on its or its allies inside Lebanon. This is exactly what happened tonight. So maybe the whole idea is actually to enable Hezbollah to have some sort of like maneuvering capacity that will not force Hezbollah to retaliate in a way that in the end of the day, I'm not so sure that the Hezbollah himself would like to see, because it may evolve in a further escalation in the Israeli northern front.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next question. You know, what kind of retaliation do you anticipate from Hamas or from Hezbollah, and the significance of this attack taking place in a suburb of Beirut?
Well, first, I would say that Hezbollah has to very cautiously calculate its next step, and I think they will do that. I think that what we should expect and could expect, one thing is that Hamas in Gaza will launch rocket attack, particularly trying to attack center part of Israel. I think that this is something that we should expect in the very short, immediate time term. We may expect also some escalations or even some sort of like attacks coming from the West Bank, reminding you Saleh Al-Arouri, who was from the West Bank originally, from the village of Aroura in the West Bank next to Ramallah. I don't know to say at this point whether the Hezbollah is going to really directly be involved in a massive escalation in the northern front. It's very possible that the Hezbollah will enable, quote unquote, Palestinian-affiliated Hamas factors that are based in the southern part of Lebanon to be engaged in some kind of like more of I would say, more of substantial attack, maybe rocket attack towards the northern part of Israel. But again, we have to be very clear about it. Nothing happened in the south part of Lebanon without Hezbollah's permission and guidance and observation. So in the end of the day, I think that that's what we should expect, at least in the very short time frame coming up. Again, Hezbollah is right now facing a very significant dilemma. The ball is in Hezbollah's court, and I think that the Hezbollah will have to calculate its next step very cautiously.
So when you say Hezbollah will have to calculate its next step very cautiously, are you concerned, because there have been concerns raised that this war could expand, become a wider regional conflict? Is Arouri's death at the moment that something like that could already be happening or could happen in the days and weeks to come as a result?
Well, look, I mean, I don't think that the Hezbollah is going to drag itself and Lebanon to a war over the killing of Al-Arouri, with all the embarrassment that is involved as far as Hezbollah is concerned. In the end of the day, we have to remember the final decision in that specific issue is in the hands of the Iranian regime in Tehran. I'm not so sure that they are basically would like at this point to order Hezbollah, who, by the way, himself not really interested in being dragged into such a wide open, massive total war with Israel, into the battleground. So again, that goes back to what I said before. Hezbollah will have to very cautiously calculate its next step. In that regard, I think that the Hezbollah will mostly, in my estimation, will mostly try to use its subcontractors, namely the Palestinian-affiliated Hamas and others groups operating in South Lebanon, to execute some sort of like more significant attack on the northern part of Israel. But I think that, again, the Hezbollah will restrict the nature and the scale and scope of such an attack.
Avi, appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Avi Melamed is a former Israeli intelligence official speaking to us live from Tel Aviv.